It's rarely the big fight that makes an empath leave. Most of the time, it happens in quiet moments no one else notices. A joke that cuts too deep, a feeling they finally share, only to be brushed off, a boundary they set and then get punished for. Empaths can handle mistakes, they can handle bad days. What they struggle with is something deeper, being made to feel unsafe after they open up. And once that happens enough times, something inside them starts to close. They may still reply, they may still show up, but the connection is already changing. What looks like distance is often self-protection. What looks like overreacting is usually a nervous system that has learned the cost of being honest in the wrong space. Empaths do not disappear because they stopped loving. They disappear because they got tired of bleeding quietly while pretending everything was fine. In this video, we're talking about the one thing empaths rarely forgive, the quiet sign that they are already leaving before they physically go, and how to tell the difference between real repair and someone panicking because they lost access to your heart. If you've ever felt yourself become colder, quieter, and harder to reach after trying again and again to be understood, this is for you. And if someone you care about has pulled away and you still don't understand why, this may explain what happened in the moments you thought were small, but they never were. Welcome to Healing Mind, a space where we talk about emotional healing, self-respect, and the quiet truths that help you protect your peace. In today's video, we're diving into why empaths pull away, what they rarely forgive, and how emotional safety shapes every relationship. If this message speaks to you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Healing Mind for more deep, honest content like this. Empaths usually do not walk away after one loud fight or one obvious mistake. What makes them slowly disappear is the moment they realize their inner world is no longer safe with you. In the beginning, they stay. They try to make sense of your behavior. They read your mood, choose gentler words, and tell themselves it is just stress, bad timing, your past, their past, or something they did wrong. They keep giving grace, even when they are hurting. But deep down, something starts shutting down. If you have ever felt yourself go from open and loving to distant and unreachable, from "I can work through this" to "I'm done," it usually traces back to one core experience. I'll say it plainly because this matters more than people realize. Empaths can forgive a lot. They can forgive awkward moments, misunderstandings, and even a bad day when someone shows care afterward. What is much harder for them to forgive is having their empathy turned against them. Empathy is not just being nice. It is deep attention, emotional presence, and a kind of closeness that feels intimate. When an empath bonds with someone, they are not only listening to words, they are tracking patterns. They notice the feeling behind "good morning," how you act after you make a mistake, the way your tone changes when you are irritated, and how you treat their sensitivity when it becomes inconvenient for you. So the reason an empath disappears is rarely one event. It is a repeated message their body keeps receiving: your feelings are not safe here. Sometimes that message comes through sarcasm. You say something cutting, then brush it off as a joke. They go quiet, their expression shifts, but they swallow the hurt to keep the peace. You notice they stay, so the pattern repeats. Other times it shows up as minimization. They finally say, "That really hurt me," and instead of curiosity or care, they hear, "You're overthinking it." No effort to understand, just dismissal. And sometimes the worst version is the reversal. They open up about something real, and within minutes they are the one comforting the person who hurt them. They end up apologizing for how they said it, calming the other person down, and the original issue gets erased. In that moment, something important goes missing. Not love, trust. And once trust starts fading, the distance begins. Most people misunderstand this part. Empaths do not disappear because they stopped caring. They disappear because they finally stopped bleeding in silence. The core wound is not simple disagreement or having a different point of view. It is chronic invalidation after vulnerability. That is the part they rarely forget. They share something real, and it gets met with ridicule, dismissal, or emotional punishment. For an empath, being vulnerable is not casual. They are not just sharing facts, they are sharing their nervous system. They reveal what scares them, what they need, what they have survived, and what they are trying to heal. If the response makes them feel foolish, dramatic, or weak for having emotions, their body learns a painful lesson. Do not bring your real self here. That is how the disappearing starts. Quietly, not dramatically. You can see it happen in small, everyday moments. They send a message that took real courage. Something like, I've been feeling lonely lately. They are not asking for a perfect answer. They just want presence. But instead, they get logic. We talk all the time, or irritation. What do you want me to do? In that moment, they learn their emotional reality will be treated like a problem to solve, not a person to care for. Or they say, please don't joke about that. And the reply is, wow, you're so sensitive. As if sensitivity is a flaw. But that is not harmless teasing. That is training. It teaches them to hide what they feel if they want to be accepted. And every time that happens, they become less visible in the relationship. It can also look like inconsistency dressed up as an excuse. Someone disappears for 2 days, comes back with, I was busy, and when the empath asks for basic steadiness, they get called controlling or needy. Now they feel embarrassed for asking for something healthy. These moments seem minor on the surface, but small moments are exactly how the body decides what is safe and what is dangerous. For an empath, the choice to pull away usually is not a mental decision first. It is a nervous system response. Their shoulders tense when your name appears on their phone. Their stomach drops when they hear that tiny shift in your voice. They start rehearsing messages in their head, trying to say everything perfectly so they will not be punished, misunderstood, or mocked. They become careful instead of honest, and that changes everything. The moment someone becomes more careful than honest with you, the relationship has already shifted. That is the part many people miss because nothing dramatic happened on the outside. The empath may still reply. They may still be polite, still show up, still act normal. But something has changed underneath. They are editing themselves now. They are filtering what they feel before they speak. They are sharing less, needing less, and expecting less. And when a connection only works because one person stays agreeable, quiet, and emotionally trimmed down, that is not true closeness. That is a performance. It may look peaceful, but it is not intimacy. Intimacy needs room for honesty, tenderness, and repair. If someone must hide their sensitivity to keep the relationship stable, then what is being protected is not love. It is comfort at the cost of truth. This is also why people often panic when an empath starts pulling away. They do not always realize how much emotional weight the empath was carrying the whole time. The empath was usually the one checking in first, reading the room, softening the tension, and adjusting their tone. They were the one noticing when something felt off and trying to repair it before it turned into conflict. They forgave quickly. They made excuses for inconsistency. They gave understanding where they were not getting much back. So when they go quiet, it feels sudden to the other person, but it was not sudden. It was gradual. The empath was slowly losing trust in a space that kept teaching them to hide. By the time they look distant, they have often been grieving the connection for a long time in silence. When you stop being emotionally available, the whole connection starts to wobble. It feels like a system that only gets noticed once it breaks, like the lights shutting off and everyone suddenly realizing who had been paying the bill all along. That is why your distance can shake people so deeply. But the most important part is this. You usually do not disappear because of one painful moment. You disappear when that pain repeats enough times to become a pattern. One hurt can be repaired when there is care, honesty, and change. A pattern, though, reveals capacity. It shows what someone is truly able or unwilling to hold. And once you see that clearly, your empathy starts to change. It stops reaching outward as a bridge and starts protecting you as a boundary. That shift is not revenge, it is recognition. What makes it feel so final is not anger, but what chronic invalidation does to your inner voice over time. It does not only hurt in the moment, it slowly teaches you to question yourself. You start wondering if you are too sensitive, when the truth is you are simply noticing what is real. You begin apologizing for basic needs, asking for less, and shrinking your truth before someone else can cut it down. Little by little, you betray yourself just to keep the peace. Then one day, something inside you reaches a limit and says, I can't do this to myself anymore. That is the real breaking point. Not rage, not drama. Self-abandonment finally ending. It is the moment you stop trying to earn safety from people who keep proving they cannot offer it. There is also a quiet sign that the disappearing has already started. Even when you are still physically present and still replying like normal, you stop giving someone access to your inner world. You still answer messages, you still show up, but you no longer confide in them. You stop sharing small happy moments because you do not want them dismissed or mocked. You stop talking about your pain because it always turns into conflict, correction, or defense. You stop speaking your full truth because you are exhausted from explaining your own reality, so you begin carrying everything alone. This is why people feel shocked when you finally leave. They think it happened suddenly, but the real leaving happened earlier, in silence. What feels sudden to them is only the day you stop pretending you are still emotionally there. If you want one simple step you can use today, this is it. The next time someone dismisses your feelings, do not over-explain yourself, do not argue, do not rush to prove that your emotions make sense. Just say one clear sentence, calmly, "I'm not available for being spoken to like that." Then stop. No long speech, no defending, no trying to make them comfortable with your boundary. Let their response show you who they are. If they have emotional capacity, they will slow down, take responsibility, and try to understand what you felt. If they do not, that will become obvious too. They may mock you, call you dramatic, punish you with distance, or twist the situation back onto you. Either way, you get what matters most: clarity without sacrificing yourself to get it. This becomes even more compassionate when you understand where it often starts. Many empaths learned early in life that connection felt unstable. Maybe someone around them was critical, moody, absent, unpredictable, or emotionally fragile. So they adapted to survive. They learned to monitor people closely, soothe tension quickly, and anticipate shifts before things went wrong. They became skilled at keeping the environment calm because calm felt like safety. That adaptation can make someone incredibly perceptive and caring, but it also creates a vulnerability. It makes them more likely to stay too long with people who treat vulnerability like weakness. And when your openness becomes something someone uses against you, a new truth begins to form inside. My sensitivity is not the problem. My overexposure is. That is when you become more selective about who gets access to you. And when that selectiveness shows up, some people panic. Not because you became cruel, but because you became unavailable to manipulation. If you are hearing this and recognizing yourself, be gentle with yourself. Pulling away does not mean you are broken. It often means your nervous system is trying to protect you. But it is also important not to confuse disappearing with healing. Healing is not vanishing just to make someone feel your absence. Healing is becoming unavailable to disrespect while becoming more available to your own peace, your own life, and your own truth. If you disappear but still keep checking their page, rereading old messages, and waiting for an apology to restore your worth, then the hook is still there. Real healing begins when you no longer need them to confirm what you already know about what happened. The deepest damage of invalidation is not only what they said to you, it is what you slowly started believing about yourself because of it. That is why reclaiming your self-trust changes everything. Once you trust your own perception again, the cycle starts to break. And if someone is listening from the other side, wondering why an empath left, the answer is usually not about one dramatic event. It is about the small moments that kept repeating. When they said, "That hurt me," your job was never to win the argument, your job was to stay present. When they asked for consistency, your job was not to call them needy or controlling. Your job was to be accountable. Empaths do not ask for perfection. They ask for care, honesty, and emotional safety. When those things are missing too long, leaving becomes the healthiest truth they can choose. When an empath sets a boundary, the response they need is not punishment, silence, or emotional withdrawal. They need respect. Empaths are not asking for flawless behavior. They are asking for safety, and safety is built through repair, not control. So let's bring this home clearly. What empaths struggle to forgive is not a single mistake, but repeated invalidation after they have opened their heart. That is the wound. And the panic some people feel when an empath pulls back is often about losing access to the emotional labor they had come to depend on. The clearest step you can take is simple. Say, "I'm not available for being spoken to like that," and let the silence after it protect your dignity. You do not need to chase understanding. What you deserve is to be met with care, maturity, and accountability. A quiet but powerful sign that an empath has already started leaving is this: they stop sharing their inner life. They may still answer texts and show up, but the real closeness is gone. They stop telling you about small things that made them happy because they do not want those moments mocked or ignored. They stop sharing what hurts because it always becomes a debate or a defense. They stop speaking openly because they are tired of proving their reality. Instead, they begin carrying everything alone. That is why people often say, "I didn't see it coming," when the empath finally leaves. But it was not sudden. The emotional exit happened much earlier. The only sudden part is the moment the empath stops pretending they are still fully there and finally lets their actions match what they have been feeling for a long time. If you need something practical you can use right away, keep it simple and steady. The next time someone dismisses your emotions, do not rush to explain yourself. Do not argue your point. Do not work hard to sound reasonable so they will treat you with respect. Just say, calmly and clearly, "I'm not available for being spoken to like that." Then stop talking. No long message, no extra justification, no rescuing them from the discomfort of hearing your boundary. Their response will tell you everything you need to know. If they have the capacity to care, they will slow down, take ownership, and try to understand what you felt. If they do not, they will mock it, twist it, distance themselves, or make you the problem. Either way, you gain clarity without abandoning yourself in the process. There is also deep compassion in understanding why so many empaths fall into this pattern. A lot of empaths grew up around unstable connection. Maybe someone important was emotionally unpredictable, critical, absent, moody, or fragile, so they learned to adapt early. They learned to watch carefully, soothe quickly, and anticipate tension before it exploded. They became skilled at keeping the emotional environment calm because calm meant safety. That sensitivity is a strength, but it also leaves them open to a certain kind of harm. It makes them more likely to stay close to people who treat vulnerability like weakness. And when your openness becomes something someone uses to gain power over you, you eventually learn a new truth. My sensitivity is not the problem, my exposure is. So you become more selective, and you stop offering your depth to people who misuse it. That is usually when the panic starts in others, not because you turned cold, but because you are no longer available for manipulation. If you are listening and thinking, "I do this, I pull away, I disappear," be gentle with yourself. That response does not mean you are broken. It often means your nervous system is trying to protect you. But disappearing and healing are not always the same thing. Healing is not going silent just to make someone miss you. Healing is choosing to be unavailable to disrespect while becoming more available to your own peace, your own body, and your own life. If you pull away but still keep checking their page, rereading old messages, or waiting for an apology to confirm what you felt, the attachment is still active. The real shift happens when you no longer need them to validate what your heart already knows. The deepest harm of invalidation is not only in the words someone said, it is in the self-doubt those words create inside you. You start questioning your feelings, your needs, and even your ability to read what is happening. That is why rebuilding self-trust is the real end of the cycle. And if someone is hearing this from the other side, wondering why an empath left, the answer is usually not a dramatic event. It is the repeated small moments. When they said, "That hurt me," your role was not to win, it was to stay present. When they asked for consistency, your role was not to label them needy, it was to be accountable. When they set a boundary, your role was not to punish them with distance, it was to respect it. Empaths do not need perfection, they need safety, and safety grows through repair. So the truth is simple and clean. What empaths rarely forgive is chronic invalidation after vulnerability. The fear and panic that follow their withdrawal often happen because they stop giving access that others had quietly relied on. Your one sentence remains the same: "I'm not available for being spoken to like that," and the silence that follows is not weakness. It is self-respect. It protects your dignity and gives you the clarity words often cannot. The outcome you deserve is not being chased only when you leave. It is being met while you are still there, met with care, honesty, consistency, and repair. In the end, empaths do not walk away because they stop caring. They walk away when repeated invalidation teaches them that being open is no longer safe. The real wound is not one argument, but a pattern of being dismissed after vulnerability. That is what breaks trust. And once trust is gone, empathy stops reaching outward and starts protecting inward. The most powerful shift is learning to set a clear boundary without over-explaining, I'm not available for being spoken to like that. From there, the goal is not to be chased, but to be met with respect, consistency, and repair. Empaths do not need perfection. They need emotional safety. And when they choose themselves, it is not revenge or coldness. It is self-respect, healing, and the decision to stop abandoning their own truth. If this video spoke to your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Healing Mind, and comment, "I choose peace," so I know you're choosing your healing journey too.